The Commander format is supposed to be fun. Keep your players engaged with these 5 green cards. What's going on, you guys? This is Just Add Misplay, taking you back to square fun. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 favorite green cards to play that are fun in Commander. Before we get started, I do just want to give a quick disclaimer. This is by no means the top 5 best green cards in Magic the Gathering or in Commander. These are just the top 5 cards that are politically fun and help encourage the gamers at the table to be engaged. So let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have Rites of Flourishing. It's a green enchantment for 2 colorless and 1 green. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. And then each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. This card's awesome. It gives everybody card draw, and then on top of that, everyone can play 2 lands. So it's going to speed up the game. Your opponents are going to be happy to draw an extra card each turn. They're going to be happy to play down multiple lands each turn. It's a lot of fun, and again, like I said, it speeds up the game, and it keeps players engaged at the table. And games got to end. So if you speed up the game like that, you'll be getting more games each night that you're playing Commander with your group of friends versus just one long, drawn-out game. I also want to mention that the turn you play Rites of Flourishing, you can actually drop another land into play because that effect on the enchantment is active almost immediately. So keep that in mind when you're playing this card. Coming in at number 4, we have Spore Frog. It's a 1 green mana investment for a 1/1 frog that you can sacrifice at any time to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. So this is great. You pay 1 mana, you get him out early, and he just sits on the field. If there's a player who's going to be swinging big later on, you can just sacrifice it and cancel all that combat damage. You can use it for yourself, or you can save the frog and protect one of your buddies at the table. It's a simple card. It's a lot of fun. It definitely ain't the best green card out there, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun to play, and it's like a new creature. I don't think many people are playing Spore Frog in Commander, but to have an onboard fog that you can just sacrifice at any time, I think is really cool, and it's been a lot of fun when I use it in my play group. Up next at number 3, we have Tempt with Discovery. It's a sorcery that costs 3 colorless and 1 green for a tempting offer. Search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. And then each opponent can search their library as well and put that land on the battlefield. And for each player that does this, you get to grab another land. So this is so good. It gets other players involved because everyone wants to search their library for a land, and you get bonus lands for doing it. You get rewarded for helping them. It's such a good card. There will be play groups where you play this and no one's going to grab a land, but I find that that's such a rare occasion that this card is worth playing. At least, most of the time, majority of the time, at least one other player will give you that land because they want to land themselves. If you like this effect, there's another card that's very similar to it. It's called Peer's Whim. It's the same casting cost, so 3 colorless and 1 green, and it's a sorcery. Each player choose friend or foe. For each friend, they search their library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then they shuffle their library, and then for each foe, they sacrifice an artifact or an enchantment. So this is a little more one-sided and in your own benefit. If an opponent has an artifact that's just getting out of control or an enchantment that's going crazy, you actually kind of get it's a very linear way to destroy that enchantment or artifact, but it still gives you that option instead of getting a land. Maybe it's later in the game, you don't really care about those lands. It makes this 4-drop a little more useful. But check it out. Tempt with Discovery and Peer's Whim coming in at number 3. So here we go with the number 2 slot. We got Rancor, another 1 green casting cost spell. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample. Then whenever Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Rancor to its owner's hand. This card's great. You can put it on your own creature, give it +2 and trample, but also keep in mind, you can put this on an opponent's creature, and that's where the fun comes in. You throw this on your opponent's creature, it makes them a big, bad, beefy boy, and then they will swing that monster at somebody else. Hopefully not you. I mean, if they're a funny guy, maybe they'll swing at you, but anyway, you do them a favor, you give their creature +2/+0 and trample, and they will swing. If their creature dies, this card goes right back to your hand, so it's pretty sweet. It's an easy spell, 1 green mana investment, and it pushes the game forward. If the game ever goes stale and players are just kind of waiting because no one wants to attack with combat damage or whatever, this card will help push that forward to the next step. And it's always a big surprise when you go to play an enchantment like this on one of your opponent's creatures. Everyone just kind of goes, wait, what are you doing? You sure about that? Speaking of enchantments that target your opponent's creatures, coming in at number 1, we have Kenraths Transformation. It's 1 green and 1 colorless for an enchantment. It's an aura that says enchant creature. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. That's wonderful, so it replaces itself. Then it has enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. This card is super helpful. It gets to spot removal, essentially. You get to turn a creature or a big bad threat into a 3/3 elk with no abilities. It's pretty hilarious to play on an opponent's creature, and if you know anything about Oko, Thief of Crowns, it makes this card, when you play it, a huge throwback, and like everyone kind of reminisces about the time that Oko ruined Standard. So turn your opponent's creatures into 3/3 elks and have a good time. Before I end this video, I just want to give one quick honorable mention. It didn't make the list because it's a super situational card, but it's called Lurking Predators. It's 2 green and 4 colorless for an enchantment that says whenever an opponent plays a spell, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you can put it on the bottom of your library. This card is my absolute favorite card in Commander. I didn't pick it because it's super situational, but it's so much fun to play. If you get this thing out on the field, every time your opponent casts a spell, you get to play a free creature, essentially, if you build your deck around it. And let me tell you something. If you have this card in your deck, you should build around it. It's wonderful. Check it out. Let me know what you think. So there you have it. There's my top 5 green fun cards for Commander. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment below. Did I miss a card or any cards that you play with that your play group has a great time whenever they see it? If there are any cards in this video that you want to try out, let me know. I would love to hear from you. All right. Thank you for watching and have a great day. The Commander format is supposed to be fun. Keep your players engaged with these 5 red